Today, I want to talk about some very specific seasons when we're looking at fat loss that are going to make you successful. We have women that are losing 30 pounds, 60 pounds. It's taken a year or two, but every time we do a fat loss phase, it feels easier because we've worked so hard to empty out that stress bucket that now we can push. So pulling and pushing and waiting seasons, they all serve you. They're all going to come at different times. Progress doesn't only rely on that push season. And so understand, what season are you truly in right now? Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the latest episode of the Metabolism and Menopause podcast, where we help you understand this new body of yours. Maybe you've started experiencing some hormonal symptoms. Maybe you're post-menopause, but we know now that your body is inherently different. And now it is time to understand how to work with your body instead of against it. Because let's face it, those old fat loss strategies of cutting calories, cutting carbs, doing a bunch of cardio just isn't cutting it anymore. So by working with your body and learning that process, we get to get your confidence back. You get to have energy again. We get to open up those fat burning pathways so you can see results. And so today I want to talk about some very specific seasons when we're looking at fat loss that are going to make you successful. We have pull seasons, we have push seasons, we have this waiting and transitional season, and how they're all going to play a key role. And typically we always try to focus on the push season, right? Where we're grinding and it feels hard and we're learning and it's challenging, but it's also thrilling at the same time as we're seeing changes and it's so exciting. And then we have other seasons where it feels boring, where it feels flat, like you're just waiting for something to happen. It feels unmotivating. There's no variety in that. You're like, am I doing something wrong? I feel like I shouldn't be doing this because it feels like I'm not putting in all this effort. And how that's actually a good thing. And we're having this conversation with a lot of women right now. And so I want to cover kind of three really big seasons that are going to set you up for success and how to identify which one you're in. And then also how to get past that flat, boring, unmotivated stage that a lot of us are in, a lot. And it feels wrong, but how it's actually the best season to be in. And so first I want to talk about, the push season. This is a classic season that many of us think of. This is where we're chasing fat loss. Maybe we're building strength. There is very structured effort. It's exciting. We're seeing results. And this season is best done when stress is low and recovery is solid. And this is a season a lot of people push in, but they're not supposed to be pushing because that's not the case that we're in. And so some key characteristics of push seasons are that we have low stress. Okay, if we've just had a crazy divorce, if we've had this crazy big move, if we've had a job change, if we've had a loss, we're dealing with some trauma, some big family conflict, not the best time to be pushing. If you've been out of a calorie deficit for a good amount of time, so we're looking at least 3 months that you haven't been chasing fat loss, that's a great time that we could potentially go into a push season. Where we aren't food focused. People don't realize this is a key important one too, because we don't want you to have anxiety or stress thinking about food when you're going out, what your next meal will be. So if that's already the case, going into a push season is going to just really amplify that. And it's going to be very overwhelming. We should also have an abundance of energy. We're not having these energy crashes. We're enjoying our workouts. We're feeling strong. We have an absence or hardly any hormonal symptoms at all. So we're not experiencing hot flashes, the night sweats, the brain fog, the irritability. We have good gut health. We're not dealing with the bloating, the constipation. We're having regular bowel movements, and sleep is great. You're getting enough sleep. It's good quality sleep. You wake up and you feel well rested. And so if those aren't what you're experiencing right now, you are not in a push season where we can really be aggressive with things, because push seasons are a time where you can cut calories. Your hormones have been able to spend time in a very supportive state, in a supportive zone. We know that cortisol is raising in the morning a bit and then it's coming back down. We're not experiencing those sleep disturbances, the constant energy crashes, the brain fog where you can't focus at all. And we also know that your training can also intensify with that as well, because training is a stress on your body. And it's not a bad stress if you have the capacity for it. We have to consider how stressful everything else is, because we have this bucket, this allostatic load of stress that our body can tolerate. And once that bucket is full and it overflows, too much stress, and now we start seeing inflammation, we start seeing weight gain, we start seeing bloating, worse hormonal symptoms, worse sleep, worse energy. That's not going to result in fat loss. That's going to result in fat gain or a ton of frustration and a plateau. And so if that bucket is full with a ton of environmental stressors, work stressors, relationship stress, the workouts are probably going to be more detrimental than anything else, which is not what we want, right? This is why I actually at one point had to take out exercise for 7 weeks to bring that stress bucket, take some of that water out of it so that I had the capacity to then be able to push again. It was not the season for me. And so if we are in a push season and our body has that bucket that has room, we can maybe increase our training frequency. Instead of 2 days a week, maybe we're moving it up to 3. You can push your strength, try more challenging movements like Bulgarian split squats with a tempo. So you're doing a lunge and you're bobbing up and down, but instead of just going up and down, it's 3 seconds down, pause, 3 seconds up. If you're doing 12 reps of that, your legs are going to be on fire. That's a lot more intensity when you're going more slowly. Maybe you're adding more weight on the bar, right? These are all signs that we can push, right? And ways that we can push in a workout too are going to be increasing the frequency, the duration, so how long your workouts are. Maybe we're adding more reps, maybe we're adding more sets, maybe there's more time under tension, so slowing down that tempo. Maybe we're pausing, we're holding things, we're increasing the weights. Maybe we're doing more challenging movements like single leg stuff, single arm stuff. Maybe we're, really upping the weights a lot more. And so those are all characteristics of you are in a push season and you can push. These are the ways that we push. We go into calorie reduction. We go into, higher intensity exercise. We have the capacity for that. But if you don't, then you're actually in a pull season. And so pull season is when your stress is higher, when you are healing, when you need hormonal support, when life is very demanding. And so the focus then ends up being restoring your metabolism, making your body good at taking food and turning it into fuel instead of turning it into fat. We're adapting, we're maintaining stability. And a pull season is where you need to pull back. And this happened to me. It happens to many of our clients. Usually women come in and we're in a pull season, a time of healing, so that we can go into a push. Because if you never take the time to empty out that bucket, you can't fill it back up with the stress that's going to be, purposeful to help you lose weight. If that bucket's already full, we cannot implement those stressors because it will just overflow. More inflammation, more bloating, more cortisol, worse hormone control, worse hormone production, worse blood sugar control, thyroid slows down. All that's going to result in weight gain. Your fat burning pathways get blocked, and then your growth and storage pathway gets overstimulated, which is the opposite of what you want. And so when we're looking at the pull season, we need to pull back, and everybody needs to spend time in pull seasons. Intensity is going to have to drop in your workouts. Recovery inside and out is a priority. Not just should be a priority, is a priority. And eating in an energy balance or even a little bit in a surplus is going to be mandatory here. So we need to look at your body, all the biofeedback, everything is trying to tell you, your sleep, your stress, your energy. It's all telling your body to chill out. It is yelling at you, Steph, slow down, calm down, take a break. But we just push. And that bucket just keeps overflowing and you're not getting results and you can't figure out why. And so some characteristics that you're in a pull season is you have high stress. So for myself, maybe it's a time where I'm traveling a lot. Maybe it was, when my mom had passed away, I was in a pull season for a very long time, despite trying to push for a while. And then my body completely broke down on me. Maybe it's postpartum. That's a pull season. We shouldn't be focusing on losing weight postpartum. We need to make sure that we are recovering from the amount of energy and stress it is on our body to build a human being inside of our body. Maybe it's, a very busy season at work. Maybe there's more conflict in your life. There's more strained relationships, whatever it might be. It's a pull season. If you've been in fat loss for quite some time, or you've been chasing fat loss for more than 3 months, we probably have to pull you out. Maybe you're, really focused on food. Need a pull season. We're not having great food quality. We're relying on the protein bars and the protein powders and the keto wraps and all those things that hit our protein goals. Okay, probably a pull season because we need whole foods, because otherwise we'll see more inflammation, blocked fat burning. You're going to get subpar results and you're going to be really frustrated. Maybe your workouts are really tiring you, or you're not getting results from your workouts anymore. Sign we probably need to go into a pull season. If you feel unmotivated, if you have poor self-image, or your mindset's pretty negative, If we have internal health needs, we're dealing with gut issues, hormonal imbalances, that's a major sign for a pull season. If your energy is feeling drained, if there are high demands from your family, your work, your significant others, or you're spending a lot of time taking care of other people, we need to pull back and focus on your healing as well. And so in this pull season is typically we're on a reverse diet. A couple of weeks ago, I did a podcast on the do's and don'ts of this because a lot of people panic or do this wrong. Because with a reverse diet, what we see is we need to slowly and strategically increase your calories, increase your carbs. But a lot of people go from not having breakfast to now having breakfast. That's an extra 500 calories that you weren't eating before. That is a massive jump. We want to make sure that we are increasing slowly. Okay, so what we find is when we're eating enough food and we're eating enough carbohydrates, it takes some of that stress out of that bucket, because not eating enough calories, not eating enough carbs will increase that bucket, making it so that it will overflow and we start seeing weight gain. And so by eating enough food, it takes some of that stress out of the bucket, which is amazing. And we also, if you're getting enough food, your body can produce hormones again. Your thyroid starts working better. Your body's better at taking food and turning it into fuel instead of turning it into fat. And so we know that dieting will just keep adding to that bucket. Eating enough food takes stress out. And this is a massive thing that I think a lot of people don't realize is the stress on their body, that bucket. And also when we're going through perimenopause and menopause, that bucket gets smaller. So before you had this huge bucket that could hold all this stress, and then estrogen and progesterone start to decline, that bucket gets smaller and you didn't take any of the stressors out of the bucket. So now it overflows a lot more easily than before, which is why you started gaining weight despite changing nothing. This is why it has all to do with that stress bucket. And so your body is not designed to be full all the time, this stress bucket to be full all the time. And so what we see is these high levels of cortisol that happen when we're in this high stress state is awful for our health. We're going to see more inflammation. We're going to see that cortisol go up, hormone production go down, blood sugar get worse. We're going to see your thyroid function slow down. Your body's worse at burning calories. You lose muscle, you gain fat, you have worse energy, worse sleep, worse detox. All of those things block your fat burning pathway, push you into that storage state, despite the fact that you are eating less and moving more and cutting carbs and fasting and doing the workouts because it is too much. And what is classified as stress? Inflammation in your body, emotional stress, physical stress, infections, sickness, chronic pain, discomfort, if you have a poor diet, if you're eating foods that you are sensitive to, trauma or PTSD, over-exercising, low-calorie intake, exposure to BPAs, the trauma, rushing around, taking care of everybody else, not sleeping enough, go, go, go. Those are all stressors. And we're like, well, that's just life. It's not supposed to be. How do you take that stress out of the bucket? Because we have a maximum capacity. And if we don't take care of it, that stress bucket gets smaller. That's what happened to me. My stress bucket used to be huge. I could handle a lot. And just from childhood trauma, the abuse from my dad, losing my mom, all the things that I'm always trying to take care of everybody else, trying to work out and be healthy and be thin and all these things. It's a lot. And over time, my stress bucket has gotten smaller. And then when my hormones were in a crappy state, it got even smaller. And it's frustrating because you're like, I should be able to push. I used to be able to do it. But you have to work with where your body is at now. And sometimes if we've been in this state for too long, of low calorie for too long and high stress for too long and all this past trauma, even though you've dealt with it and you've done the healing and you're great, your stress bucket is still going to be smaller than some other people's. And it's smaller than it used to be. And it's super frustrating because I'm like, I know I could handle more, but I can't anymore. And so it's learning to work with your body, because if you just continue to abuse it, it's not going to get you anywhere. And so when we're looking at kind of understanding like the push season, the pull season, those ones are pretty easier to understand. Oh, like I have to pull back. Oh, I have to push. And people are excited in the push season. The pull season can be challenging because it can take a while, right? Depending on our history. But then we also have this like transitional waiting maintenance season that everyone really hates. And it's, okay, we got you up to your maintenance calories, super exciting in that phase one. Our clients are great. They're ready for fat loss, or so they think, right? But we got to give your body time to adapt now. right? You have to make that metabolism stick. Your hormones have to be there for a while where, we're continuing. You don't feel like you're changing anything, right? But you're continuing to take stress out of that bucket. But it doesn't feel like it because you're not making all these changes every day. Like now it's just, okay, now we got to maintain and allow our body to slowly keep scooping water out of that bucket. But like we feel like we're not scooping water out because we're not changing stuff all the time. But you have to give your body time to empty, right? And so it's really hard because, when we think about all the past diets that we've done and diet culture in general, we equate some level of success with the grind and exhaustion of like learning and like we're trying to get to this new goal. Okay, I got to get my calories up to here, super exciting, or I'm going to get my calories down to here and go in a fat loss phase or whatever it might be, right? We're grinding, we're exhausted, we're working, and we kind of get these little dopamine hits, right? Because we see the scale drop or we start feeling these new milestones or yes, I hit it. We get to move on to like the next calorie upping or downing or whatever we're doing. And it's exciting and novel, right? And then once we're at this maintenance and we're just waiting to allow your body to adapt to go into fat loss, or we're coming out of fat loss and then maintaining for a bit before we can go back down again, you don't get that same like reward buzz as you were before, right? It feels like nothing is happening, but things are happening. We just don't realize that bucket is getting emptied out. So we have the capacity to be able to go into fat loss and do all these things, but it feels like nothing is happening. And this is where you kind of get that feeling of, it doesn't feel like I'm giving enough effort. I feel unmotivated. Like, what's the point? Like, I'm not doing anything different. Like, I feel like I'm wasting my time. But that's the whole point. Like, we're supposed to get to this point where it does feel easier. It doesn't feel like this constant grind. It doesn't feel like this constant pushing. It's supposed to feel easier. It's supposed to be boring. That's good. That means you're at this point where you did it. And now we get to like coast for a little bit and maintain and allow your body to adapt, allow that water to keep getting dumped out of that bucket so then we can push. And so you're in this place where you get to develop this like nutritional literacy where you get to understand how to eat and what to eat in a way that supports your energy, that supports your hormones, your recovery, stability, creating an environment that is, safe for your body. And you don't have to micromanage as much. It doesn't take as much mental capacity, and it feels wrong because we're like, oh, I'm not giving it my all, therefore what's the point? But that's how it's supposed to be, like 85% of the time. And so people don't realize this is like a moment to celebrate. You don't have to be doing these like extreme, challenges or extreme deficits or anything like that. We don't have to panic over every single calorie. Your body's not fighting you anymore. It's adapting, and it can kind of feel boring, but that's good. Boring is calm. Boring is peaceful, but we're so wrapped up in this like crazy, wild life of like, there always has to be change and chaos, that comfort and peace feels more uncomfortable than chaos, feels more uncomfortable than grinding, because of how our brains have been wired and what we've been taught, which is so wild. And it's honestly sad to me because it's like, this is where we're waiting for. This is what we should be excited about, right? And so we're not pushing or pulling aggressively. We're just holding steady until your body is ready for the next step or the next push or whatever we're going to work on. So it's just like planting and growing, waiting, harvesting. Every season serves that purpose, right? Like, you have to give your body time. And so if you're, doing the planting, exciting process, and you're watering it every day and you're doing all the things at the beginning to nurture it, these little baby trees or whatever it is, and then it's like good. And now you're just like waiting for it to grow. And it feels boring because it's not as like novel and exciting as the beginning phases, right? And it's not exciting like harvesting is, right? And so you have to give that time between phases, that waiting transitional maintenance period. But it's hard, right? We're just so used to this crazy grind and push, and we view it as wasted time, but it's the period where your body unlocks your future results that you don't even realize that you're waiting for. You don't even understand that this is like the superpower phase, right? That adaptation is the superpower. It's where your body gets good at turning food into fuel instead of fat. It's where your hormones start to balance out, where your stress lowers, your sleep improves, right? Where you have capacity, but we're so used to not having capacity to do stuff that now we have this capacity and it feels weird to just have space. It's wild, right? And we know that this is important because it prevents you from yo-yo dieting in the future. It makes your fat loss phases effective. It protects you and your long-term results, right? You're not going to gain the weight back. And so maintenance isn't this doing nothing. It's teaching your body that this is the new normal, but your brain is like just struggling with it because you're not used to not having a hard life. Like, let that sink in. That once it gets good, you just like want to throw bombs in. I'm like that in business. And like, thank goodness I have a good team. Because I'm like, things are good, amazing. We've created this fantastic program and it's awesome and clients are getting results and it's great. And it just feels too good. And I'm like, what if we do this? And they're like, or what if we just continue helping women change their lives and we don't have to keep changing everything? Just like, it's working and these women are doing great. But it's hard for me because I almost want to make messes to have to clean up to keep myself busy. And we do that with our bodies all of the time. We look for problems, and if we can't find the problem, we will create a problem. Because we're fixers, we're nurturers. We think that by fixing that we will, have more self-worth and people will like us more. And we don't realize that we're also doing that with our body all of the time. Which is crazy, right? So instead of asking yourself like, am I doing enough? Ask yourself, am I giving my body what it needs right now? Like, understand your context. Like, if life is stressful, if it's busy, your body might be in a pull season and it might need healing, right? If things are aligned and things are good, maybe it's a push season, but also, have you given yourself that waiting transitional season so that you will have fruit to harvest, right? And sometimes success isn't always about pushing. It's about knowing which season you're in and embracing it. Stop trying to rush to the next part. I think about like when Grayson was little. I was like, oh, I cannot wait till we're out of this phase and he can do this. And then we get to this phase. Oh, I can't wait till we're out of this phase and he can do this one. And now I'm like, I wish I would have savored those cuddles where he would sleep on my chest because like now he's just not a very cuddly kid. I wish I would have like enjoyed those moments a little bit more. And I think we're always so like on to the next thing that we forget to learn how to enjoy this, enjoy the process, and genuinely learn in all of these phases. And so sometimes when we're stuck in this like maintenance transitional phase, it's learning how to get those new variety hits while you're in maintenance. Maybe you're learning, performance goals instead. Maybe you're trying different skills. Maybe you are enjoying food freedom and like trying different recipes. In the fat loss phase, you're going to be a lot more restricted. Maybe we're focusing on getting stronger in the gym. Maybe this is where you also take up a new hobby. Like we have clients that are now, trying rock climbing for the first time. Like they're deciding like now they do want to train for a marathon. Cool. Your body's in a place where we can actually like do that safely and your body's not going to pay the price in a negative way. It's learning to figure out what are the new things that you want to do. And I think a lot of us just don't give ourselves a space to even think or dream those things. And I think that's beautiful. And I love when we get to see clients do that. It makes me so excited. And so the first thing that you have to do is just identify what season you're in. And a lot of us are in the pulling or maintenance season. And it feels uncomfortable because there's less novelty, there's less grind, there's more waiting, but that's why it's powerful. That space gives you more freedom, but we just don't know what to do with it because we never have enough of it. Like you're literally getting what you always wanted, right? We also want more time, more freedom. But then we get it and we don't know what to do with it. And so we just start dropping bombs everywhere, right? So pulling and pushing and waiting seasons, they all serve you. And they're all going to come at different times. Progress doesn't only rely on that push season. So if you are in maintenance, you're in this waiting season, you're near the end of that pull season, you're not stuck. You're adapting. We are taking water out of that bucket so we have room to push. You are stabilizing. You are building the foundation that makes every future push actually successful. Like, we have women that are losing 30 pounds, 60 pounds. It's taken a year or two, but like every time we do a fat loss phase, it feels easier because we've worked so hard to empty out that stress bucket that now we can push. And it's amazing. And so understand, what season are you truly in right now? And are you willing to embrace it? And again, I've almost created this podcast more so for our clients, because a lot of people are in this waiting season. They're waiting for the push. And for some people, it's longer than others, depending on their history. And just learning to embrace that. And just because you don't feel like you're putting in a ton of effort doesn't mean changes aren't happening. You just don't see the roots growing deep in the ground. So that way, once that plant grows up, you have a wonderful harvest to pull from, which is really, really exciting. So I hope this was helpful for anyone who's feels like they're kind of floundering. If you have no idea what season you're in, if you have no idea where you should be starting, should you be cutting calories? How much should you actually be eating? If you are cutting calories, by how much? Like, have you waited long enough? Book a consultation call. We do that for free. We assess everything for you to help you determine what season you're in, how much you should be eating, how much protein, how many calories, what your workouts should look like, give you an estimated timeline so you can do it on your own. Because having some clarity on where you need to go makes the journey so much easier. Because if you don't have a map, it can be very, very frustrating and you're just going to get lost. So make sure you book that consult call in the show notes for you. They're absolutely free, no strings attached. We are just on a mission to help as many women as possible. Have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.